I had always known Marcus Walker would try to destroy me. What my stepbrother hadn't counted on was that I'd been preparing for this day for 2 years. "Clear out your desk, little sister," Marcus smirked, leaning against my office doorframe. The board unanimously agreed. "You're just not executive material." I kept my face neutral as I looked around the office I'd earned through 6 years of 60-hour weeks at Walker Technologies. The company my father and stepmother had built from nothing. The company I'd helped transform into a $200 million enterprise. And the company Marcus had inherited after our parents' fatal car accident last year. "The board?" I said quietly, meeting his eyes. "You mean your college roommates you appointed after Dad died? They understand real business, Julia. Unlike you." Marcus straightened his Italian silk tie. "A gift from my father last Christmas. Face it, you're too soft. Too focused on client relationships and employee satisfaction. This isn't a charity." I began packing my belongings while Marcus watched with undisguised glee. Photos of Dad and me at industry conferences. The awards our cybersecurity division had won under my leadership. The contract from our biggest client, Meridian Global, which I'd secured last month. "Remember when you begged Dad to give you a chance?" Marcus continued. "Fresh out of MIT, thinking your fancy coding skills meant you understood business. He should have listened to Mom and sent you to business school instead." My stepmother, Caroline Walker, had never approved of my technical approach to leadership. "Business is about appearances, Julia," she'd say, gesturing at my practical suits and sensible shoes. "No one trusts a CEO who looks like their IT department." "The Meridian contract," I said, carefully wrapping my father's last birthday gift to me. A crystal paperweight engraved with his favorite quote, "Success leaves clues." They specifically requested me as their point of contact. Marcus waved dismissively. "Already handled. I'm taking over their account personally. They understand that family businesses sometimes need to make adjustments." Family, right? Because nothing said family like firing your stepsister 2 days before the anniversary of her father's death. "You have until 5 to clear out," Marcus said, checking his Rolex, another of Dad's gifts he claimed after the funeral. "Security will escort you out." As he turned to leave, he paused. "Oh, and Julia, don't bother updating your LinkedIn. I've already let our industry contacts know about your unfortunate departure. Can't have you embarrassing the Walker name." I waited until his footsteps faded before allowing myself a small smile. Opening my laptop, I typed a quick message to an email address I created 2 years ago. The day Marcus first tried to undermine me in a board meeting. "Execute Protocol Alpha. Timestamp. Now." The response came instantly. "Protocol Alpha initiated. Status. Active." Next, I pulled out my phone and made 3 calls. The first to my best friend and brilliant corporate lawyer, Sarah Mitchell. "It's happening," I said when she answered. Finally, Sarah replied. "Papers are ready. Meeting still on for 7. See you there." The second call went to Dr. James Morrison, my father's oldest friend and the only original board member Marcus hadn't managed to force out. "Julia," James answered quietly. "I just heard. I tried to stop it, but it's okay," I assured him. "Is everything in place?" "Yes. Though I still don't understand why you wanted copies of all those old contracts." "You will. Dinner tomorrow. Wouldn't miss it." The final call was to a secure number few people knew existed. "Ms. Stone. System activation confirmed. All backups secured and isolated. Waiting for your command. Thank you, Michael. Maintain current status until further notice." By 4:30, my office was empty. I'd worked in this room since college, starting as an intern while Marcus was off finding himself in Europe. Dad had believed in earning your place, in understanding every aspect of the business from the ground up. Marcus had other ideas. At 4:45, security arrived, Ted from IT and Alicia from the front desk, both looking uncomfortable. "Ms. Stone," Ted began, "we're supposed to." "It's okay," I smiled, handing over my access card. "I know you're just doing your job." Alicia hugged me quickly. "We'll miss you." As they escorted me through the lobby, I caught glimpses of familiar faces. Developers I'd mentored, admins I'd supported through family emergencies, sales team members who'd flourished under my client-first approach. Marcus stood watching from the executive floor balcony, practically radiating satisfaction. In the parking lot, I placed my box of belongings in my Tesla Model S, a car I bought myself, unlike Marcus's company-funded Porsche. As I pulled away from Walker Technologies' gleaming headquarters, my phone buzzed with an incoming email. Subject: New leadership announcement. Walker Technologies from Marcus Walker, CEO to all staff. Team. Today marks an important transition in our company's evolution. Julia Stone is no longer with Walker Technologies. While we appreciate her past contributions, our vision requires stronger, more traditional leadership. I stopped reading and checked the time. 5:15. In precisely 45 minutes, every major client of Walker Technologies would receive a very different kind of email. One that Marcus definitely hadn't approved. At 6 o'clock, I walked into the private room at La Maison, an exclusive restaurant downtown. Sarah was already there, documents spread across the table. Everything's filed, she said without preamble. Stone Security Solutions is officially incorporated. Banking set up, licenses transferred, patents registered. Marcus hasn't found the registration. Sarah smiled wickedly. Filed in Delaware under a holding company. He won't find it until... My phone exploded with notifications, email confirmations, calendar invites, and right on schedule. A flood of messages from Walker Technologies' biggest clients. Now, I finished pulling up the email that had just gone to every major player in our industry. Dear valued partners, I'm excited to announce the launch of Stone Security Solutions, a new venture dedicated to revolutionary cybersecurity solutions. As the former head of security innovation at Walker Technologies and lead architect of the Guardian Protocol, I invite you to join us in redefining digital protection. Attached was a detailed prospectus, client testimonials, gathered over months, and most importantly, irrefutable proof that I, not Walker Technologies, held the patents to our most crucial security systems. How long until Marcus figures it out? Sarah asked, pouring champagne. I glanced at my phone. 27 missed calls from Walker Technologies. He's probably reading the fine print right now. The fine print that showed I quietly registered personal patents for every major innovation I developed over the past 2 years. The fine print in client contracts that tied service guarantees to me personally, not the company. The fine print that Marcus, with his MBA and disdain for technical details, had never bothered to read. You know he'll try to fight this, Sarah warned. Let him. I sipped my champagne. Everything's documented. Every patent application, every client meeting, every late-night coding session. And tomorrow? Tomorrow, our friends at Meridian Global announced they're moving their $50 million security contract to Stone Security Solutions. Effective immediately. Sarah's eyes widened. That's why you insisted on those special terms in their contract last month. Success leaves clues, I quoted, touching the crystal paperweight in my bag. Dad taught me that. Along with another important lesson, always read the fine print. My phone buzzed again. Marcus's name flashed on the screen, along with a text. What did you do? I smiled, remembering all the times he dismissed my technical expertise, mocked my focus on details, called me soft. In business, he'd always said, nice girls finish last. Time to show him how wrong he was. Should I order dinner? Sarah asked, watching me silence my phone. This might take a while. Actually, I said, pulling out my laptop, I need to finish something first. I opened my email and began typing. Dear Walker Technologies Board of Directors, in light of recent events, I believe it's time to discuss some irregularities in the company's patent portfolio. The morning after my email to the board, I sat in my new office overlooking the city, watching chaos unfold at Walker Technologies through a very different lens. My phone hadn't stopped buzzing since 6 a.m. when the first international markets opened. News of my departure and the patent situation had spread faster than even I'd anticipated. Walker Technologies stock was already down 15% in pre-market trading. Miss Stone, my new assistant Emma, appeared at the door. You have 3 urgent calls, Meridian Global's CEO, the Wall Street Journal, and your stepmother. I smiled. Caroline finally decided to join the party. The last 12 hours had been exactly what I planned for, but better. After my email to the board detailing the patent irregularities, Marcus had made every wrong move possible. First, he tried to lock me out of the company's systems, only to discover I'd already secured everything I needed. Then he threatened legal action, until Sarah's detailed documentation package arrived at his office at midnight. Put Meridian through first, I told Emma. And can you pull up the latest stock updates? As my largest screen displayed the market data, Robert Chen, Meridian's CEO, came on the line. Julia, quite a show you're putting on, he said, amusement clear in his voice. Good morning, Robert. I trust you received the transition documents, along with proof that you, not Walker Technologies, own the security protocols protecting our global operations? Yes, very enlightening. Marcus called me at 3 a.m., practically hysterical. I could imagine. Marcus had never understood that client relationships were built on trust and competence, not golf games and expensive dinners. Our new contract terms are acceptable? I asked, though I already knew the answer. Better than acceptable. Your direct ownership of the patents actually gives us more security. The board approved the transfer this morning, $50 million as agreed, with the option to expand to $75 next quarter. After finishing with Robert, I pulled up my email. 800 unread messages, most from industry contacts and Walker Technologies clients. The subject lines told their own story. Urgent, security contract review required, meeting request, patent discussion, Walker Technologies concerns, immediate response needed. But it was the email from James Morrison that caught my attention. Julia, emergency board meeting called for 9 a.m. Marcus is unraveling. Caroline trying to take control, but the patent evidence is damning. You should see this. Attached was a video clip from Walker Technologies security cameras. Marcus in the executive suite at 4 a.m., throwing things, screaming at lawyers on speakerphone. Caroline trying to calm him while frantically texting her financial advisors. I forwarded the clip to Sarah with a quick note. Exhibit A for the hostile work environment claim. Her response was immediate, already added to the file. Beto, 3 more Walker Tech developers just sent their resumes. Senior team following their leader. I'd known this would happen. The developers had been my people from the start, drawn to my technical background and collaborative leadership style. Marcus had never bothered to learn their names, let alone understand their value. At 10 a.m., Emma appeared again. Miss Stone. The Wall Street Journal piece just went live. The headline said it all. Tech Care's power play backfires. Walker Technologies loses patents, clients, and trust. The article was devastating in its precision, detailing how Marcus had attempted to force out the company's chief innovation officer, me, without understanding that I personally held the patents to our core technology. It included quotes from industry analysts questioning Walker Technologies' future without its security protocols and testimonials from clients already announcing their transition to Stone Security Solutions. My phone buzzed. Caroline again. This time I answered. Hello, Caroline. Julia, this has gone too far. My stepmother's usually perfectly controlled voice shook slightly. Your father would be ashamed. Really? Dad would be ashamed that I protected my innovations, that I built my own success instead of letting Marcus steal it. He's your brother. Stepbrother, I corrected, who just tried to destroy my career. How is he enjoying his morning? Caroline's tone turned wheedling. We can fix this. Come back. Equal partnership with Marcus, full board seat. Whatever you want. I already have what I want. I looked around my new office at the teams already working in the open space beyond. My own company, my own terms. No more playing nice while Marcus takes credit for my work. The company will fight this. With what evidence? Every patent application has my name on it. Every major client has personal service clauses. Even the development team's non-competes were with me personally, another detail Marcus didn't bother reading. Silence. Face it, Caroline. You raised Marcus to believe he deserved everything without earning it. Dad raised me to build things that last. After hanging up, I walked through Stone Security Solutions' new headquarters. 48 hours ago, these floors had been empty. Now, thanks to 2 years of careful planning, they hummed with activity. Developers who'd followed me from Walker Technologies sat at gleaming workstations, already improving our security protocols. Sales teams who'd jumped ship were calling clients, smoothing transitions. In the conference room, Sarah led an orientation session for new hires. My phone buzzed with a news alert. Walker Technologies stock had fallen 30%. The board had called another emergency meeting. I returned to my office and opened a secure file on my laptop. Inside was a detailed plan for the next phase, including an analysis of Walker Technologies' vulnerabilities without my patents and a strategy for acquiring their struggling subsidiaries at discount prices. Marcus had wanted to teach me about real business. Lesson learned. Emma appeared one last time. Miss Stone, the Forbes reporter is here for your interview, and Marcus is in the lobby. I smiled, straightening my father's paperweight on my desk. Tell Forbes I'll be right there, and Marcus, let him wait. He's about to learn another lesson about reading the fine print. Opening my drawer, I pulled out one final document, a buyout offer for Walker Technologies already approved by key shareholders. Marcus's unanimous board was about to get very uncomfortable. Sometimes the best revenge isn't destroying your enemies, it's building something so much better that they destroy themselves trying to compete. Dad would have understood that. As I headed to the interview, my phone lit up with a text from Sarah. Board meeting leaked. Marcus just got suspended. Caroline taking leave of absence. Still want to send the offer. I thought about Marcus's smirk as he'd thrown my belongings in a box. About Caroline's years of subtle undermining. About all the times they dismissed my technical approach to business. Send it, I replied. Time for them to learn how real business works. The story spread through industry circles like wildfire. How the quiet stepsister had outmaneuvered the arrogant heir. How technical expertise had trumped traditional business politics. How the nice girl who'd been told to learn real business had ended up owning it all. These days, when I visit clients or speak at conferences, I often catch whispers. That's Julia Stone, the one who. They never finish the sentence. They don't have to. Success tells its own story. Last week, I received an invitation to give the commencement speech at Marcus' old business school. The topic? Innovation, leadership, and the importance of reading the fine print. I accepted with a smile, already planning my speech. After all, I have quite a lesson to share. The company continues to grow beyond even my expectations. But more importantly, we're building something meaningful, a place where technical brilliance is celebrated, where innovation matters more than politics, where the next generation of leaders can thrive without playing old-school power games. Sometimes at night, standing in my office overlooking the city, I touch Dad's paperweight and remember his words. Success leaves clues. Marcus never understood that the clues were there all along, hidden in the code he wouldn't read, in the details he dismissed, in the quiet determination he mistook for weakness. His last email sits unopened in my inbox. You planned this all along, didn't you? Yes, dear stepbrother. Yes, I did. And that's the greatest lesson of all. Sometimes the best business strategy is simply being underestimated by the right people. The vote is final, my older brother Marcus declared, shuffling the papers in front of him with an air of smug authority. 4 votes to remove Olivia from her position as Chief Operating Officer, 1 vote against. I sat at the long conference table in our family business's main office, the same table where our father had taught us about running Callahan Construction Supply when we were children. Now my 4 siblings, Marcus, Ethan, Diana, and Victoria, sat on one side while I sat alone on the other. My name is Olivia Callahan, and I'd just been voted out of the company our grandfather built from nothing. This is about the future of the business, Marcus continued, not meeting my eyes. We need to be aggressive, ruthless, even. You're too, he paused, searching for the right word. Soft, Diana finished examining her manicured nails. You care too much about the little things. Employee welfare programs, environmental impact studies, community outreach. That's not how you run a construction supply company. I looked at each of them in turn. Marcus, 38, who'd been scheming for total control since father retired. Ethan, 36, always following Marcus's lead. Diana, 34, who'd never forgiven me for being father's favorite. And Victoria, 30, the youngest, who probably voted against me just to avoid being the next target. Those little things increased our profit margins by 22% last year, I said quietly. Happy employees are productive employees. Sustainable practices attract better contracts. Community goodwill opens new markets. Numbers can be manipulated, Ethan scoffed. The fact is, you're holding us back from real growth. We need to cut costs, squeeze suppliers, maximize short-term gains. I thought about my latest project, a revolutionary eco-friendly concrete mixture that could reduce construction carbon emissions by 40%. The research was nearly complete, the patents almost ready to file. And the innovation division? I asked. The new products in development? Waste of resources, Marcus waved his hand dismissively. We're shutting it down. This is a supply company, not a research lab. My heart sank. 5 years of work, millions in potential revenue, all about to be scrapped because my siblings couldn't see beyond the next quarter's profits. The severance package is generous. Diana pushed a document across the table. 6 months' salary, plus your shares will be bought out at current market value. I didn't touch the paper. Dad trusted me with operations for a reason. Dad's retired, Marcus snapped. And his old-fashioned ideas about business ethics and family legacy retired with him. This is business, Olivia. Real business. I thought about calling Father, who was probably tending his roses in Arizona, blissfully unaware that his children were destroying everything he built. But he'd been clear when he stepped down. It's your generation's time now. Handle it amongst yourselves. Fine. I stood up, leaving the severance package untouched. I'll have my office cleared by end of day. Don't forget to sign the non-compete agreement, Ethan called out as I reached the door. No working for competitors for 2 years. I turned back, finally smiling. Oh, I won't be working for competitors. They didn't understand my meaning. Not yet. In my office, I began methodically packing my personal items. Family photos from happier times, awards for sustainability initiatives, the plaque for Most Innovative Regional Business 2023. My phone buzzed. A message from Jack Torres, my head of research and development. Just heard. What happens to the eco-concrete project? Pack everything up, I replied. All research, all data. Don't leave any copies. Another message, this one from Maria in HR. They can't do this. Half the staff is talking about quitting. I thought carefully before responding. Don't do anything rash. Not yet. By 3 p.m., my office was almost empty. Through the glass walls, I could see Marcus showing someone around. Probably my replacement, someone who shared his aggressive vision. My phone buzzed again. Kevin Chen, CEO of Pacific Regional Builders, our biggest client. Heard rumors about changes at Callahan. Need to discuss our upcoming contracts. Dinner tonight? I smiled, remembering how many times my siblings had complained about my unnecessary client relationships. All those dinners, site visits, and personal touches they saw as wastes of time. Love to, I replied, 7 p.m. at the Capitol Grill. As I carried the last box to my car, Jack met me in the parking lot. The eco-concrete research, he said quietly, all backed up and secured. No traces left on company servers. Good, because they're shutting down the innovation division. His face darkened. After everything we've achieved, the patents we've filed, the contracts we've won, Marcus thinks innovation is a waste of resources. Jack laughed bitterly. Marcus thinks anything that takes longer than 3 months to show profit is a waste. What's your plan? I looked up at the building with our family name emblazoned across the top. Callahan Construction Supply, founded in 1962 by our grandfather with nothing but a truck and a dream. Come by my house tomorrow morning, I said. Bring the research. And Jack, start thinking about what you want in a new R&D lab. A real one. That evening, I sat across from Kevin Chen at the Capitol Grill, watching him process what I just told him. They voted you out? He shook his head in disbelief. You're the reason we give Callahan 60% of our business. Marcus has different ideas about how to run things. Marcus, Kevin snorted. The one who couldn't tell Portland cement from fly ash during the site inspection. Who tried to sell us substandard rebar last year. I sipped my wine. The same. And the eco-concrete project? Our sustainability initiative depends on that. Canceled as of this morning. Kevin sat back, fingers drumming on the table. Olivia, let me be direct. Pacific Regional works with Callahan because of you. Your innovation, your reliability, your understanding of where the industry is heading. If you're out, he let the sentence hang. I pulled out my phone, opening an email I'd received that afternoon. Interesting timing. I just got an offer to lease an industrial facility in South Boston. Fully equipped lab space, distribution center, office complex. Previous tenant was a materials research company. Kevin's eyes narrowed. The non-compete agreement only applies to existing products and services, not, I smiled, to new, innovative construction materials that don't exist yet. He leaned forward. Tell me more. By the time dessert arrived, we had the outline of a plan. Kevin would shift 40% of Pacific Regional's business to my new company as soon as we were operational. More importantly, he'd connect me with other major builders who were interested in sustainable construction materials. One condition, he said as we finished our coffee, I want first rights to the eco-concrete when it's ready. Deal. That night, I sat in my home office, looking at old family photos. There was grandfather teaching us about different types of concrete when we were kids. Father showing me how to test material strength in the lab. My siblings and I at company picnics, holiday parties, site celebrations. All those memories, all that history, thrown away because Marcus and the others thought being soft meant being weak. My phone buzzed. A message from Victoria. I'm sorry, Liv. I tried to vote against it, but you know how Marcus is. I didn't respond. Victoria had made her choice. Another message from Maria in HR. Engineering team is furious about the innovation division closing. 3 senior managers already updated their LinkedIn profiles. Perfect. I opened my laptop and began typing, announcing the formation of Nova Materials Technology, specializing in next-generation sustainable construction materials. The non-compete agreement sat unsigned on my kitchen counter. Marcus and the others thought they were protecting the family business from competition. They didn't realize they were about to create their biggest competitor. Because sometimes being soft, caring about employees, focusing on innovation, building real relationships isn't weakness. It's the foundation of something stronger than they could imagine. And I was about to prove it. The South Boston industrial facility looked nothing like Callahan's polished corporate headquarters. No marble lobby, no expensive artwork, no family name in giant letters across the facade. But as I stood in the vast research lab space, watching Jack Torres inspect the equipment, I saw something better, possibility. This is perfect, Jack said, examining a materials testing station. Better than what we had at Callahan. And look, dedicated environmental controls for the concrete curing room. It had been 2 weeks since my forced exit from the family business. 2 weeks of nonstop planning, organizing, and quiet recruiting. How many from the old team are coming? I asked, though I already knew the answer. All of them, Jack grinned. The entire R&D department resigned this morning. Should be hitting Marcus's desk right about. My phone buzzed. A message from Maria in HR. Mass exodus happening. Marcus is having a meltdown. Just screamed, what do you mean the whole innovation team quit? Another message followed quickly, this one from Ethan. What are you playing at, Olivia? This is sabotage. I ignored both messages, focusing instead on the email from my patent attorney. Eco-concrete patent applications filed. All research properly documented as completed prior to leaving Callahan. They can't touch it. When can we start testing? I asked Jack. He was already unpacking the equipment. Give me 3 days to set up. The team starts Monday. We could have preliminary results by end of month. Perfect timing for the industry conference in Chicago. Jack looked up sharply. The one where Callahan always announces their yearly product line? I smiled. The very same. The next few weeks passed in a blur of activity. While Jack and the R&D team set up the lab, I focused on building the business infrastructure. The industrial space included modern offices, which quickly filled with familiar faces. Maria joined as head of human resources, bringing with her decades of institutional knowledge and a contact list of every skilled worker in the industry. 3 senior project managers from Callahan followed, along with their key staff. You should see Marcus trying to handle client meetings, one of them told me over coffee. Tried explaining load-bearing calculations to Boston Municipal. Nearly lost the city contract. My phone buzzed constantly with updates from Callahan. Diana. This is ridiculous. Those were our employees. Victoria. Please talk to Marcus. He's making terrible decisions. Ethan, Dad's asking questions. What should we tell him? I archived each message without responding. They'd made their choice. Kevin Chen from Pacific Regional visited our facility in the 3rd week, touring the lab where our eco-concrete was already showing promising results. Impressive, he said, examining the test samples. How soon until full production? 2 months, I replied. Just in time for your Harrison Street project. He nodded approvingly. Callahan's quality has been slipping. Marcus tried to raise prices 20% last week, claimed market conditions. Didn't even know about the regional cement shortage that's actually driving costs. Because he fired everyone who understood the supply chain, I said. How much business have they lost? We've cut them to 30% of our contracts. Other builders are doing the same. He paused. You know they're scrambling to develop their own eco-friendly products. I laughed. With what team? They shut down R&D, remember. Hired some fresh graduates. Marcus keeps talking about young energy and disruptive thinking. Kevin shook his head. They tested their first batch yesterday. Concrete didn't even set properly. That evening, as I reviewed business projections in my new office, Maria brought in an interesting email, an invitation to bid on the city's new sustainable infrastructure project. Value, $50 million. Callahan always gets these contracts, she said. Not anymore, I smiled. Their sustainability certification lapsed last month. Nobody there even noticed. My phone buzzed. Victoria. Dad's coming back next week. Board meeting called. Please tell me you'll consider returning if we vote Marcus out. I stared at the message for a long moment. Victoria had always been the peacemaker, trying to smooth over family conflicts. But she'd still voted to remove me. Too late, I typed back. Nova Materials launches next month. 3 dots appeared as she typed, then disappeared. No response. The following week brought another surprise. Diana showed up at our facility unannounced, designer heels clicking on the polished concrete floor. Wow, she said, looking around the modern space. This is not what I expected. Can I help you with something? She shifted uncomfortably. The Thompson contract. They're threatening to switch suppliers. Something about innovative materials and better service. Sounds like a them problem. Olivia, be reasonable. That account is worth millions. Just tell them to stay with Callahan. For family. I looked at my sister, really looked at her. Family? Like when you voted me out for being too soft. That was business, she protested. Exactly, and this? I gestured around at Nova Materials. This is business too. After she left, Jack found me staring out the window at the Boston skyline. You okay? He asked. They still don't get it, I said. They think this is about revenge. They don't understand I'm building something better. He nodded toward the lab. Latest test results are in. The eco-concrete doesn't just reduce carbon emissions, it's stronger than traditional mixtures, could revolutionize the industry. I smiled. Just in time for the Chicago conference. The annual Construction Innovation Conference was the industry's biggest event. Every major player would be there, including Callahan Construction Supply. Marcus had already been bragging about their presentation slot, the same slot our father had used for years to showcase genuine innovations. How many clients are meeting us there? Jack asked. 15 confirmed, including the head of the city's infrastructure committee. My phone buzzed. A message from Kevin. Callahan just lost the Stewart Development Project. Marcus quoted them year-old prices, didn't know about the new environmental requirements. They're asking about Nova Materials. Perfect timing. That night, I received an unexpected call. My father. Olivia. His voice was tired. What's happening to our company? I sat down heavily. You'll have to ask Marcus. He's in charge now. Marcus says you're trying to destroy the family business. Diana claims you stole employees. Ethan's talking about lawsuits. And Victoria? A pause. Victoria says we made a terrible mistake. I thought about the eco-concrete project, about the years spent building relationships and developing innovations, about being called too soft for caring about more than quick profits. The company's destroying itself, Dad. I'm just building something new. He was quiet for a long moment. The Chicago conference is next week. I know. Your grandfather always said the construction business is built on 3 things: quality, innovation, and trust. Seems to me only one of his grandchildren remembered that. After we hung up, I walked through our facility. The lab was still lit, Jack and his team working late on final tests. The office spaces hummed with energy as project managers prepared client presentations. Everything felt alive, purposeful. My phone buzzed one last time, an email from the conference organizers, confirming Nova Materials presentation slot, main stage, Day 2, 10 a.m. Directly following Callahan Construction Supply. I smiled, imagining Marcus's face when he realized what was coming. He thought he was protecting the family business by pushing me out. Instead, he'd inspired me to build its replacement, and Chicago would be just the beginning. The Chicago Conference Center buzzed with energy as I stood backstage, watching Marcus struggle through Callahan's presentation. The massive screen behind him displayed graphs that even he didn't seem to understand. And our new eco-friendly initiative, he stumbled, flipping through his notes. We're committed to sustainability. In the audience, I could see Kevin Chen and other major clients shifting uncomfortably. They knew what Callahan had been, what it had become under Marcus's leadership. Diana and Ethan sat in the front row, trying to maintain confident expressions. Victoria was nowhere to be seen. Our father, who had flown in from Arizona, sat in the back, watching silently. Questions? Marcus asked hopefully as he finished. The silence was deafening. As he left the stage, looking rattled, the conference moderator stepped up. And now, making their industry debut, please welcome Nova Materials Technology and their CEO, Olivia Callahan. I heard Marcus's sharp intake of breath as I passed him. He hadn't known I was next. Thank you, I said, taking the stage. Let's talk about the future of construction. For the next 30 minutes, I laid out our vision, not with vague buzzwords or empty promises, but with real innovation. Jack controlled the presentation from his laptop, showing live data from our eco-concrete tests. 40% reduction in carbon emissions, I explained. 30% stronger than traditional mixtures, and thanks to our proprietary formulation, cost competitive with standard materials. The audience leaned forward. These were industry professionals who understood exactly what these numbers meant. But this isn't just about one product, I continued. It's about reimagining how construction supply companies can operate. About building something sustainable, not just environmentally, but economically and ethically. I clicked to the next slide, Nova's employee profit-sharing program, our community investment initiatives, our partnerships with local technical schools. Because innovation isn't just about materials, it's about people. About understanding that long-term success comes from building real value, not just quarterly profits. In the front row, Diana had stopped pretending to look confident. Ethan was frantically typing on his phone. And in the back, our father nodded slowly. Nova Materials is accepting new client partnerships starting next month, I concluded. For those interested, we're hosting a technical demonstration this afternoon. Thank you. The applause was immediate and enthusiastic. As I left the stage, clients were already lining up to speak with me. Olivia, Marcus grabbed my arm. This is illegal. The non-compete doesn't cover new technologies, I cut him off. Maybe you should have read it before trying to force me to sign. Our lawyers already reviewed everything, I smiled. Every patent, every innovation, properly documented as developed after my departure. But feel free to waste money on lawsuits instead of actually improving your company. I turned to the growing crowd of interested clients, leaving Marcus sputtering behind me. The afternoon demonstration was standing room only. Jack and our team showed the eco-concrete in action, answering technical questions with the expertise that only comes from years of research. Incredible, the city's infrastructure director said, examining the test samples. How soon can you begin supplying the municipal project? We're ready to start immediately, I replied. My phone buzzed constantly. Kevin, board meeting called for tomorrow. Callahan shareholders demanding answers. Maria, 3 more Callahan managers just sent resumes. Victoria, Marcus is trying to claim you stole company secrets. Dad shut him down hard. I ignored them all, focusing on the potential clients eager to discuss partnerships. By evening, we had preliminary commitments worth over $100 million in annual revenue. At the conference reception that night, I stood with Jack and our team, celebrating our successful launch. Across the room, Marcus huddled with Diana and Ethan, looking shell-shocked. Olivia. I turned to find our father standing there. Dad. Walk with me. We stepped out onto the terrace overlooking Chicago's skyline. For a moment, neither of us spoke. Your grandfather would be proud, he finally said. Of what? Competing with the family business? He shook his head. Of building something meaningful. Of understanding what really matters in this industry. He paused. Marcus wanted me to try to stop you, threatened to sue you for everything you've got. And? And I reminded him that I still own 30% of Callahan's shares, that I could call a board meeting tomorrow and remove him as CEO. I looked at my father sharply. Will you? No, he sighed. He needs to learn this lesson the hard way. They all do. Back inside, Kevin Chen was gathering his coat. Dinner? He asked as I approached. Several clients want to discuss switching their full supply contracts to Nova. How many? Enough to take about 60% of Callahan's market share within 6 months. I thought about Marcus's smug dismissal of my soft approach to business, about Diana's contempt for employee welfare programs, about Ethan's obsession with short-term profits. Let's discuss it over dinner, I agreed. The next morning, industry news sites were buzzing. Nova Materials disrupts construction supply industry with revolutionary eco-concrete. Former Callahan executive launches innovative competitor, sustainable construction. The next generation. Diana called as I was checking out of my hotel. The board is meeting in an hour, she said, her voice tense. Shareholders are demanding Marcus' resignation. Dad won't intervene. Please, we can still fix this. Come back. Name your price. It was never about price, Diana. You still don't understand. Then explain it to me. You can't buy innovation. You can't force loyalty. You can't build something lasting by only thinking about the next quarter's profits. I paused. But you're about to learn that the hard way. Victoria was waiting by my car in a hotel parking garage. I'm sorry, she said simply. I should have stood up to them. Yes, you should have. I want to join Nova. I looked at my youngest sister, seeing real regret in her eyes. Why? Because you were right. About everything. About innovation, about treating people right, about building for the future instead of just taking from the present. She straightened. I want to learn to do it right. Start in project management, I said after a moment. Learn the business from the ground up, no shortcuts. Her smile was genuine. Thank you. 1 year later, I stood in Nova's expanded headquarters, watching our third production facility under construction across the street. The company had grown faster than even I had projected. Callahan Construction Supply had survived, barely. Marcus had been forced out as CEO, replaced by an industry veteran. They'd scaled down, focusing on traditional materials for smaller projects. Their stock was worth a quarter of its previous value. My phone buzzed, Jack sending the latest test results from our newest innovation, self-repairing concrete that could extend infrastructure lifespan by decades. Another message followed from Kevin. City just approved the waterfront development contract. $200 million, all materials supplied by Nova. I walked through our R&D lab, now 3 times its original size. Teams of engineers worked on various projects, the energy and enthusiasm palpable. In the office area, Victoria led a client meeting, having earned her role through real work and understanding. My father had been right about what mattered in this industry: quality, innovation, and trust. My siblings had forgotten that thinking aggressive cost-cutting and short-term profits were the path to success. They called me too soft because I cared about employees, about sustainability, about building something meaningful. Now they understood that soft didn't mean weak. Sometimes it meant being strong enough to start over, smart enough to build something better, and wise enough to know that real success comes from creating value, not just taking it. Ms. Callahan. My assistant appeared at the door. The Industry Association is on the line. They want you to keynote next year's conference. Something about the future of sustainable construction. I smiled, remembering last year's conference, Marcus's stumbling presentation. The launch of Nova, the beginning of everything. Tell them I'd be happy to speak, I said. I have a lot to say about building things that last. Because that's what this was really about, not revenge or competition, but proving that the old way of doing business, the ruthless, short-sighted way, was itself outdated. Nova wasn't just a company. It was a blueprint for something better, and we were just getting started. I never thought I'd own a castle, but life has a way of surprising you, especially when your family pushes you too far. The day my sister Amanda banned me from her wedding, I was standing in the bridal boutique, holding the receipt for her custom-designed Vera wine dress, $15,000. Just another drop in the ocean of expenses I'd covered to give her the fairy tale wedding she dreamed of since childhood. Sophie, he can't possibly wear that to my wedding, Amanda said, her perfectly manicured fingers gesturing dismissively at my business suit. And that haircut. God, when are you going to start dressing like a normal person? I touched my short pixie cut self-consciously. At 32, I'd long since given up trying to match my sister's definition of normal. While she pursued a career in social media influencing, I'd built a successful investment firm. My clothes were expensive but practical. My haircut was low maintenance but stylish. Not that Amanda would ever notice. The suit is Armani, I said quietly, and I thought we agreed I'd wear navy to complement the bridesmaids. That's not the point. Amanda's voice rose, drawing attention from other customers. You're my sister, but you're embarrassing. Bradley's family is old money. They have expectations. His mother already commented on how different you seem. Bradley Thompson ILI. My sister's fiancé came from one of those families where everyone had Roman numerals after their names and summer homes in the Hamptons. Old money, indeed, though not as much as they pretended to have anymore. Different? I kept my voice level, years of boardroom negotiations serving me well. I'm paying for your entire wedding, Amanda. $85,000 so far, including the deposit on Riverbrook Castle. Ah, Riverbrook Castle. The exclusive venue an hour outside the city, a restored 19th century estate that hosted only 12 weddings per year. The waiting list was 3 years long, but I pulled strings, called in favors, and secured it for Amanda's perfect day. The deposit alone was $20,000. That's what family does. Amanda waved off my comment. Mom and Dad can't afford it, and I'm their precious baby. You're just doing your duty as the older sister. Our parents. That was another sore spot. Dad's small accounting firm had struggled after the recession, and Mom's interior design business barely broke even. They'd remortgaged their house 3 times to maintain appearances, to give Amanda the lifestyle she demanded. Meanwhile, I'd been quietly paying their bills for years, a fact they conveniently forgot whenever Amanda needed something. Besides, Amanda continued, examining her reflection in the boutique's triple mirrors, it's not like you have anything else to spend your money on. No husband, no kids, just work, work, work. The boutique owner, Mrs. Patterson, shot me a sympathetic look. She'd witnessed similar scenes over the past 6 months of wedding preparations. The alterations are perfect, I said, changing the subject. The dress looks beautiful on you. Of course it does. Amanda preened. Bradley's mother says I look just like Grace Kelly. She's going to introduce me to all the right people after the wedding. I'll be managing their family's charitable foundation. I bit back a comment about the Thompson Family Foundation's questionable accounting practices. My firm had analyzed their books during a potential partnership deal last year. The numbers hadn't added up, but Amanda didn't need to know that. Not yet. Now about the wedding. Amanda's tone turned serious. I've been thinking, maybe it's better if you don't come. The boutique went silent. Mrs. Patterson dropped a pincushion. What? I managed to keep my voice steady, though my hands clenched into fists. It's just, you don't fit, Sophie. You'll stand out in all the photos with your weird hair and man suits. Bradley's mother suggested having just family at the ceremony, and well, Amanda smoothed her dress, avoiding my eyes. You're not really the kind of family we want to showcase. I pay for everything, I said slowly. The dress, the flowers, the castle, the catering, everything. And we're grateful. Amanda's voice took on the wheedling tone she used since childhood to get her way. But think about my future, Sophie. These people are going to be my family. I need to fit in. You can still send a gift, of course. Mrs. Patterson muttered something under her breath that sounded suspiciously like ungrateful brat. I looked at my sister, really looked at her. The designer dress, the diamond earrings I bought her for Christmas, the entitled tilt of her chin. 28 years old and still playing princess while others paid the bills. Fine, I said quietly. Really? Amanda's face lit up. Oh, I knew you'd understand. You always take care of everything. Just send the final payments to the vendors. And... No, I cut her off. I mean, fine, I won't come to the wedding. But I'm not paying for it either. Amanda's face went pale beneath her expensive foundation. What? You can't have it both ways, Amanda. Either I'm family or I'm not. If I'm not family enough to attend, I'm not family enough to pay. But the castle, the catering, everything's booked. Better start calling Bradley's mother, I said, gathering my bag. I'm sure the Thompson Family Foundation can cover it. After all, they're your real family now. You can't do this. Amanda's voice rose to a shriek. Daddy. Tell her she can't do this. I turned to see our parents rushing into the boutique. They must have been waiting outside. Of course they were. Sophie, be reasonable. Dad started, using his accountant voice. Your sister didn't mean. Yes, she did. I cut him off. And you've enabled it for years. Well, it stops now. But we can't afford. Mom wrung her hands. Designer bracelets jangling. More gifts from me. Not my problem anymore. I headed for the door, then paused. Oh, and Mom. The mortgage payment you asked me to cover next week. Better start looking for alternatives. I walked out of the boutique to the sound of Amanda's wails and my parents' protests. But I wasn't done. Not by a long shot. In my car, I pulled out my phone and made 2 calls. The first was to my assistant. Jessica, remember that property acquisition we discussed? The one with the castle? Make it happen. Whatever it takes. The second call was to my bank, canceling all pending payments to wedding vendors. Then I drove to my office in the city, where the real work would begin. Amanda thought she could humiliate me and still benefit from my success. She was about to learn a very expensive lesson about burning bridges. By evening, things were in motion. My investment firm, Stone Financial Partners, had begun the process of acquiring Riverbrook Castle and its surrounding estate. The current owners, an elderly couple looking to retire, had been considering selling for months. My offer, significantly above market value, sealed the deal. As I sat in my corner office overlooking the city, I thought about Amanda's words. No husband, no kids, just work. She'd meant it as an insult, but my work had built something remarkable. Stone Financial Partners managed billions in assets, though I kept that fact quiet. Let people underestimate me. It made moments like this so much sweeter. My phone buzzed. Jessica's text. Contract signed. You own a castle. I smiled, imagining Amanda's face when she learned who her venue's new owner was. But that would come tomorrow. Tonight, I had other calls to make. First, the wedding planner, an elegant woman named Victoria, who confided in me about Amanda's increasingly bridezilla-like behavior. Victoria? It's Sophie Stone. There are going to be some changes to my sister's wedding plans. Then the caterers, the florist, the musicians. One by one, I explained the situation. Most had dealt with Amanda's demands and tantrums. All were happy to keep their deposits and book new clients instead. Finally, close to midnight, I called the castle's events manager, Michael. Miss Stone, I just heard about the ownership change. Congratulations. Thank you, Michael. About tomorrow's meeting with my sister. We planned it perfectly. Amanda would arrive expecting to finalize wedding details with the venue's mysterious new owner. Instead, she'd find me behind the antique desk in the castle's grand office. As I drove home that night, past the gleaming city towers I'd helped finance, I thought about family, about loyalty, about consequences. Tomorrow would change everything. And for once, I wouldn't be the one picking up the pieces of Amanda's shattered expectations. The morning after my confrontation with Amanda at Riverbrook Castle started differently than I expected. Not with angry calls from my family, but with a series of interesting emails. First was a message from Bradley's mother, Margaret Thompson. Miss Stone, I understand you're the new owner of Riverbrook. We should discuss the Thompson family's long-standing relationship with the venue. I smiled, remembering my conversation with Amanda yesterday in the castle's office. She'd arrived expecting to finalize her wedding details, only to find me behind the mahogany desk. Her face had cycled through confusion, shock, and finally, rage. What are you doing here? She demanded. Meeting with the bride about her venue reservation. I'd replied calmly. Please have a seat. But they said the new owner wanted to meet. Yes, and here I am. The realization had hit her like a physical blow. You bought the castle. Riverbrook Estate, including the castle, grounds, and all business operations. I confirmed, signed the papers yesterday. This is insane. Amanda had paced the office, her designer heels clicking on the hardwood. You can't do this. We have a contract. Had a contract, I corrected. With the previous owners. All agreements are under review by the new management. Standard business practice. I'm your sister. Am I? Because yesterday I wasn't family enough to attend your wedding. Now, staring at Margaret Thompson's email, I thought about what had happened next. Amanda's threats, her tears, her attempts at manipulation. All her usual tactics, useless against the cold reality of business contracts and property rights. The second email was from Bradley himself. Sophie, need to meet urgently. Family financial matter. Please keep confidential. Interesting, very interesting. The third email made me sit up straight. It was from Harrison Pierce, CEO of Pierce Global Investments and Bradley's godfather. Ms. Stone, impressed by your recent acquisition. Lunch this week. Have a proposition to discuss. I leaned back in my office chair, pieces clicking into place. The Thompson family's strained finances. Bradley's urgent message. Harrison Pierce's sudden interest. My phone buzzed. Mom calling. Again. I'd ignored 14 calls since yesterday's confrontation. This time I answered. How could you do this to your sister? She demanded without preamble. Good morning to you too, Ma. Don't be smart with me. Amanda's devastated. She had to tell Bradley's mother the wedding venue is in Jew party. Do you know how humiliating that was? I thought about all the times Amanda had humiliated me publicly. Yes, I imagine it was very uncomfortable. You have to fix this. Give her back the venue. Like you gave back the house I helped you keep, or the car payments I covered, or the credit card bills. Silence. Then softer. We're family, Sophie. Funny how that only matters when you need something from me. I ended the call and pulled up the Thompson family's financial records. My firm had compiled them during due diligence last year. Old money, yes, but mostly gone now. Bad investments, lavish spending, and a generation of heirs better at spending wealth than maintaining it. A knock at my door, Jessica with my morning coffee. Bradley Thompson is in the lobby, she said. No appointment. Give me 10 minutes, then send him up. I used the time to make 2 quick calls. First to my private investigator. Send me everything you have on Harrison Pierce's recent investments. Then to Michael at Riverbrook. Hold all wedding bookings for the next 6 months. Something's coming. Bradley looked different in my office than he had at family dinners. Less polished. Worried. His custom suit couldn't hide the shadows under his eyes. Sophie, thank you for seeing me, he began, declining my offer of coffee. About Amanda. If this is about the wedding venue, I have nothing to add to yesterday's conversation. It's not. Well, not directly. He ran a hand through his carefully styled hair. I need your help. My family, we're not as financially secure as we appear. I'm aware. He blinked. You are. My firm does thorough research before considering partnerships. Bradley. Last year's review of the Thompson Foundation was enlightening. Then you know we're in trouble. Real trouble. Uncle Harrison has been keeping us afloat, but Harrison Pierce isn't your uncle. Family friend. Godfather. He's like an uncle. Bradley leaned forward. He's been watching you. Your firm. This castle purchase. It got his attention. I'm sure it did. I kept my voice neutral. What exactly do you want, Bradley? A partnership. Your firm's resources, our family's connections. Uncle Harrison would back it. We could? Stop. I held up a hand. Let me be clear. You're here because you need money. Because your family's wealth is mostly smoke and mirrors now. Because Harrison Pierce sees an opportunity. Bradley's face flushed. It's not like that. Your foundation's books are a mess. Your family's real estate is mortgaged to the hilt. And now your fiancé's sister, the one you all look down on, owns the castle you can't afford to rent for your wedding. Sophie, please. Here's what's going to happen, I continued. You're going to leave my office. You're going to tell Harrison Pierce that I'm not interested in his proposition. And you're going to explain to Amanda that actions have consequences. Or I start asking public questions about the Thompson Foundation's creative accounting. He left without another word. I gave him 10 minutes, then made another call. Harrison, Sophie Stone. About lunch. I have a counter proposition. The next few weeks were a study in chaos and consequences. Amanda alternated between rage and begging. My parents discovered that their financial safety net had vanished. The Thompson family's carefully maintained facade began to crack. And me? I built something new at Riverbrook. Not just a wedding venue, but a symbol. A reminder that sometimes the quiet ones, the different ones, The ones who don't fit in were the ones you should watch out for. Some nights standing in the castle's grand hall, I thought about family, about the price of loyalty and the cost of betrayal, about little girls who dream of fairy tale weddings and women who build their own castles. Amanda eventually had her wedding, a much smaller affair at a local hotel. I didn't attend, but I sent a gift, a framed photo of Riverbrook Castle with a note. Sometimes happily ever after looks different than we expect. The Thompson family's financial troubles became public shortly after, thanks to some anonymous tips to regulatory authorities. Harrison Pierce's proposition. It turned out I didn't need his connections as much as he needed mine. Today, Riverbrook hosts selected events, not just weddings, but charity galas, corporate retreats, and educational programs. We have a scholarship foundation that helps different young women build their own success stories. Amanda still doesn't speak to me. Last I heard, she and Bradley moved to a smaller city where the Thompson name carries less weight. Mom and Dad adjusted to their more modest lifestyle, though they never quite understood how they lost their golden child's fairy tale. As for me, I kept the castle. Some days, walking its halls, I think about that moment in the bridal boutique. You don't fit, Amanda had said. She was right. I didn't fit into her story. I was writing my own. The castle's bell tower chimes, reminding me of another meeting, another decision to make. Through my office window, I can see a young woman arriving for a venue tour. Her hair is cut short like mine, her suit practical but elegant. In her eyes, I see that same quiet determination I once had. Miss Stone. Jessica appears at my door. Your next appointment is here. I smile, straightening my jacket. Time to help another different girl find her own kind of happily ever after. After all, every good story needs a sequel.